Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated pinch me. Oh my God, I'm talking to Dr. Chuck Zorumski. We knew him as the best keeper in the area, in the world, really, when he played for the Billikens of SLU, St. Louis University. But the other guys know him for being the best of the DeAndres. That's your intro.
Well, thanks, Kevin. It's great to be here. Yeah, I need you to do PR for me. That's a great introduction.
Oh man, and let me tell you something. He's an inspiration to all in this Holly Hills area in St. Louis by the Crownlet Park, which was. When they first made it, it was created. It was the Beverly Hills of St. Louis. Dr. Chuck does jogging around, and the man is magnificent in form and sheer determination. That was your intro.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know what to say to that. Other than that, I tore my quadriceps tendon about 18 months ago, so I'm rehabbing by walking the neighborhood now. So.
Oh, great, man! Man, we got lucky. Several of the houses on Holly Hills, their trees fell on their houses or around their houses, but overall, we got pretty lucky around here.
Yeah, that's a fact. I'm at WashU, so we're in the central corridor.
Woo!
And man, that got hit really hard. Forest Park and along Lindell, and even into the Northside, really pretty brutal. But like you said, things were not so hot down in South St. Louis with trees uprooted and everything like that.
Oh man, yeah. And the Northside, was it close to where you grew up?
No, this was the near north side from where WashU is on Kings Highway. Before you get to Delmar, the tornado kind of took out areas just in that Delmar kind of area and a little bit north. And where I grew up was up near Fairgrounds Park in the north side. Up on Cossacks Avenue.
Right.
near where the old baseball stadium was.
Right. Yeah.
Stadium. Yeah.
But the north side had, I guess, over by North Florissant, they had a great corridor of, if you're aware of that, Doctor, that the north side, around 5,000 homes got demolished.
Yeah, that was that far north then, huh? Up near West Florissant and that.
Yeah. It seemed like it came from Granite City.
Yeah. And I had heard the tornado kind of made a bend and took off north, kind of as it came through the central west end.
Yeah,
so
man.
That makes a lot of sense. That's brutal, though.
Yeah, man. Right on. And on a kind of a happy, sad note, but to try to parlay it onto a smile, Wales Certified is saying that without a doubt, people who had to put on their boots and face you, and you're being the opposition goalkeeper. That's Wales Certified, baby. That's the tornado stopping everything right then and there. Having Chuck Zorumski in the nets, and from Holy Rosary to DeAndres to St. Louis University, you struck fear in everyone that played against you, and just the feeling of we're going to win with your teammates.
Yeah, that area, up on the north side was kind of incredible. You talk about being spoken about as being a really good goalkeeper. I was thinking, as we were getting ready to talk today, I wasn't even the best goalkeeper in my block up in North St. Louis.
Yeah, right about that, man. How about that?
So I grew up with a guy named Joe Wright, who was an
Oh,
incredible player. He was Holy Rosary, DeAndre's, St. Louis Stars,
yes,
and Joe was about a year or so older than me, so he was like kind of a guide to me as a young
nice.
player. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the guys that came after you, one being Frank Taniski, he came
Oh,
in.
well, that was when I came out of college, out of SLU, which was 1974. There were three goalkeepers that were drafted early in the old North American Soccer League draft. One was Frank Trzynski. He was the first one taken. Chester Kovaleski, who was at SIU Edwardsville,
Oh,
and then I
yeah.
was I was the third of them. So the three Polish kids from North St. Louis were drafted in 1974. And Frank Trzynski was actually a little bit older than I am. He graduated from DeAndre's and went on to the military for a while
Yeah.
before he came back and went to UMSL. And
Yeah.
God, all those two guys they were great players. As a matter of fact, the weird part of the story is that Chester and I played baseball together for like 3 or 4 years before high school.
Wow, man. How about, did you all grow up on Pegatowski's Polish sausage or Krakow?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know my family did. I'm pretty sure the other two did. Trzynski's were from down in that neighborhood, Holy Name, and kind of down that direction. Chester was out Walnut Park,
Right.
but I'm sure he got his share of Pickatowski.
Oh, yeah, man. They were legendary. And he played for the Northwest Blue Devils, of all places.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, man.
Yes, he did. Originally, I remember he was on St. Bart's that won the National Junior Cup one year.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and then ends up at Northwest High School where he played.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you see a big old tall moving type of guy that could throw a ball. You say, hey, I want him, playing anywhere. You say, pick you up and get you going. But Chuck Z, so you know that I know that you know now. I was able to train with you all. I guess it was either your senior year, and at the Billikens, I used to ride over and then be able to shag balls and work, and worked out with Miguel de Lima, and they all asked, "Hey, where's Chuck? He's taking his finals." So, what? Come on, man! He's going to be a doctor.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I had labs in the afternoon sometimes, so I missed practice, which was really kind of strange for a great Division I team like SLU, that they let me do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you look to your left and you look to your right, you're the best in the area. So, man, it's just an incredible business that you had. You just left everything. It was magnificent. And so on a full disclosure, when I was telling people that I'm going to interview you, they all to a person said, hey, ask him about that Brazilian tour. And I went all over, not too much of a researcher, about that picture. But I remember seeing the picture of you and your teammates at the Billikens with the American flag going around the stadium. Can you incite us about that?
Yeah, that was in Bogota, Colombia. That was the first game on the tour. We hit like 6 different countries. Harry Pio and Val Pellizzero with Miguel de Lima kind of arranged that through, I think, the State Department actually at the time, from what I understand. And when we had been national champions the year before, so this was right before that group of us were all seniors at SLU. So the first stop was in Bogota, Colombia, where we played the reserves of the Santa Fe professional team. It was before the actual Division I teams were playing that afternoon. So there were like something like 65,000 people or something there. But I had never seen anything like it. It was truly amazing. And it's in Bogota, so it's in the mountains. So it was up at altitude. So you'd run around the field, and even if you were fit, you were a little out of breath. After kind of a tour through. But it was kind of amazing. We held our own. I mean, they were young professional players that we were playing against, but we held our own. I think we ended up losing that game 2-0, and it was quite a game. I mean, they were really quite good though.
Yeah, well, that's why I never could find the picture. I said Brazil, I'll do Bogota, and it'll come up. So here you are.
We did make it to Brazil. So that was, we went there to Santiago, Chile, and played in Chile, Argentina, Buenos Aires, and then up through Brazil. Coming to Uruguay and Brazil. So Miguel was Brazilian, so he had arranged for us to stay at the Sao Paulo at the stadium in the club team Vasco da Gama that he had played for back in that era. So it was pretty amazing kind of trip.
Oh, I bet. Because the actual picture, whoever took it's a jaw dropper. And you were there, but looking at it, saying, holy cow, man. I mean, that, there's been nothing close to that picture, in my opinion.
Oh, that's really kind of you to say that, but yeah, we were just running around the field with the flag, because that was before the game, and we were, it was the first time most of us had ever played internationally of any sort.
Yeah, and you had always had great looking uniforms, and under full disclosure, I thought you were our first Shep Meyer. You looked so good there, baby. I mean, well certified. You had the look of a goalkeeper, I guarantee. The pride of the Northside.
Well, it's funny you bring up Sepp Meyer, because that was one of the people that was a German goalkeeper, and I loved Sepp Meyer watching him play. But Sepp wore all black, so I eventually ended up wearing all black when they used to let you do that as a goalkeeper. So
man.
Yeah.
But, you couldn't wear that cap like Joe Wright. He looked good in that little that salt and pepper cap.
The old paper boy cap.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That surely would strike fear in your opponents.
Absolutely. They think there's something wrong with you if you wear that cap. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had a a minute or so in the professional league?
After college, I went off to medical school. After the gang of 10 of us graduated from SLU, I ended up in medical school, and the folks from the old St. Louis Stars and the North American Soccer League, they talked to me about trying to play for them. So I was a freshman in medical school at St. Louis U, and I'm trying to play pro soccer. During the latter part of that first year. And that was truly more than I should have been. That was like almost ridiculous that I even tried to do that. Trying to go to school through the day and study at night and then go train with the Stars. That was really tough.
Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah. Well, you got to be a Hercules in order to be a Herculean way, and it's okay to bow out. But
well, one of the things I wish I had done that year is that was the year the Stars brought in Peter Bonetti from England, the great English goalkeeper. So Peter comes in and becomes the obviously he was the starting goalkeeper for that team, and Dave Jokerst was on another goalkeeper. Yeah. And I kind of wish I'd had more time to hang around with a Peter Bonetti. What a phenomenal player he was, and he had a great season for the Stars that year.
Yeah, he was the best, and they supposedly there was a robbery called upon the New York Cosmos beating the Stars in the rain.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe it was that was a different year. I'm sorry, but they lost out in like this the semifinals or something.
They went pretty far with Peter playing goal for them. Yeah, and it actually rejuvenated his career. So I think he went back to England after that
He
and
did.
went back to the first, the Premier League, the first. Well, I guess it was called First Division at that
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
right. At Chelsea, and
yeah,
his name was on the supporter club across the street from the stadium. I took a high school trip there, and lo and behold, I'm in the midst. I said, Peter Benetti is one of us. I'm a St. Louisan. He's one of us.
yeah,
But
yeah.
they told me I still had to pay the full price. I couldn't get. All right. All right. So here we go. You're there, Chuck, and you know that, hey, you're going to be the doctor. But somehow you find time to coach at the Automata with the Billikens after Miguel had to go.
Yeah, that was the last part of medical school before I became a resident here at WashU in psychiatry. Uh, Joe Clark had come back to St. Louis. Joe had played at SLU with me, and then we had played on the Olympic team together for a while, and then we had played for the old Big Four together. So Joe knew me really well, and kind of he actually talked my wife into letting me help coach at SLU with him. When I finished, just when I was finishing my residency. So that proved to be one of the great experiences of my life. I think we spent about a dozen years coaching at SLU. In that from the mid or so 80s till about 96, I think was the last year that we were coaching at SLU. And you'd said, how did soccer influence your career? Well, those years, both as a player, playing the sport was a big thing, and kind of learning how to compete and learning how to be around really good players, that was a big thing. But the years of coaching with great young players that Joe was able to bring into SLU, great goalkeepers as well, that was a huge amount of fun and taught me a whole lot about how to manage things and things like that. So I ended up at WashU becoming the head of the Department of Psychiatry for an extended period of time, like 25 years. And people say, well, you must have had just great business training to become a head of a medical school department. I said, no, the best training I got was coaching at SLU back in the 80s and early 90s.
Man, oh wow! Did you use some of the experience at O'Fallon Park and Fairgrounds Park and with Big Four and all the whole gang?
Oh yeah, that was huge. O'Fallon was kind of beaten up by the time. Remember, they put the highway through and they
Yeah.
kind of tore up the fields in O'Fallon. But
Okay.
Fairgrounds, I lived a half a block from Fairgrounds for a good chunk of my life, and
Wow.
so we went to see SLU used to play home games at Fairgrounds #1. That was amazing. So saw players like Roger Rupp, Carl Gentili, Pat McBride, all of those guys playing at SLU before I ever got the chance to go there. That was just an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, from that old neighborhood up there were so many players kind of came through Fairgrounds Park. The St. Philip Neri players would play some of their games there, and it was just a great experience. And then I ended up with SLU playing with a bunch of those guys, at St. Louis U,
Yeah.
and some of them at DeAndre's, but
Yeah.
a number of them at SLU.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, my brother took me to another high school, and he said that, you know, we were a good team, but we always lost out to this team. And he said, good luck to you. And DeAndre's, I mean, you guys were always in the mix. I mean, there was no doubt you guys had some talent, some team, man.
Yeah, kind of out of that north side, and it was an all-boys school at that time, and was pulling from Walnut Park, so the St. Philip Neri players and everything. I was thinking about the other day, in my freshman year class at DeAndre's was Dan Counts from Sacred Heart. So Danny was a freshman at DeAndre's, and then transferred to Rosary by the time he was a sophomore. Another player right at that era was Mike Siri, was on the DeAndre's team, was playing for the junior national team. So when I go to SLU, I end up on a team with those two guys from DeAndre's, Bob O'Leary, who was from DeAndre's, Dale Harmon, who played 2 seasons. He was out of Sacred Heart, another Sacred Heart player. 2 years in college, I played with Dale. So
Yeah,
it was really just great. And those were all out of that DeAndre's high school kind of area. But a number of them, as things changed in the city, a number of them moved out. So DeAndre, by the late '60s, probably wasn't the team that it was in the mid or so '60s.
right.
When they won the district championship in about '67, I think those guys were sophomores. I mean, Joe Wright and all of those guys, Mike Siri,
Yeah,
just great teams, just really great players.
yeah, yeah. And so I have to ask you, being up on the north side, where you grew up at and how you went, they talk of street sense. Did you develop a street sense as well as being very educated?
Yeah, the neighborhood, it was a working class gang of folks, kind of up there, and you learned how to compete, you learned how to get along with people in a great way, and DeAndre's was a lot like that, and it was an interesting experience, and eventually the neighborhood got a little on the rough side, so and I was a little protected because I did well in school, so I wasn't running the streets like some of the folks up that direction. So,
Yeah, okay. But I mean, how did you get away from not playing with the Wildcats basketball team as tall as you are?
well, that's a whole nother story. But I played for one of the baseball teams I played for until with Chester with St. Louis AC, as I was talking about a little earlier, was the Northside Wildcats. So I played baseball with them for 3-4 seasons when I was a young kid, which was a great thing. So you had to end up being involved with the Wildcats if you lived in that Fairgrounds Park kind of area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
day or night, day or night. They had lights, man. There was some great soccer games played
Oh,
in there.
that was Diamond One, and that's where a lot of players became really good. That local community, because you could go out there and play in the far center field area where the ball never went because it was so far out,
Yeah,
and just play soccer or whatever you wanted, kind of in at the evenings during the summer.
right. And the folks in Walnut Park say that Chester was even a better baseball pitcher than he was a goalkeeper, and he was one hell of a goalkeeper.
Yeah, when we played baseball together, he was great. He was a right-handed pitcher, and he batted left-handed. So he was a right-handed pitcher, played third base and pitched. And I never even knew he was a goalkeeper till we got to high school. And so that's when I found out that he actually was playing goal the same as I was. Yeah.
Nice. And so, how about you? You remember before, well, while uh, Northwest High School was being built, they had that diamond, that baseball diamond at Dwight Davis Park. Did you?
Yeah, I never really played over there, but I
Oh,
remember it being there. Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they also had a field up in a soccer field, kind of up in Walnut Park, called Hubble Field, where Philip Neary and that gang of folks would do their practices and play some games and
Eh,
things like that. That was a mecca for good players.
Yeah, yeah. And you couldn't see it from the highway, but you could see those two big, tall Pillsbury towers, whatever with the flower in them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, and then I've always asked about where's Holy Rosary at? And there's,
Yeah, it was over tucked. So DeAndre's was on Newstead and Clarence. It was off between Clarence and Newstead, kind of toward O'Fallon Park. Well, a little further to the south of there, along Newstead, you'd come to where Holy Rosary Parish was, which was the street with Margarita. It was on Margaretta. Margaretta and Newstead was kind of in the area where the old Holy Rosary was, and that's where a bunch of players. That's Pat McBride, Chuck Zeller, whole host of folks came out of there. Yeah.
yeah.
Eddie Clear, another pro player. Yeah, that
Oh,
came
yeah,
out of there.
yeah. Wow, man. Yeah, that's the whole thing of being within the parish boundaries, and somehow you come in with a sheet, a release sheet. Say, Father, will you sign this so I can play for that other parish? Oh, cut it out.
Yeah, they didn't like that. That's for sure. That was not some playing outside the parish was not a good thing. But there were so many good parishes there. I mean, like well, as a kid growing up, Sacred Heart was just phenomenal. Like I said, Dan Counts and Dale Harmon and multiple other players came out of Sacred Heart. Perpetual Help was another big parish with really good players. Of course, St. Philip that I've already mentioned, they were all just loaded with players. The old baby boomers, and the boys in the Catholic schools, they didn't have a whole lot of other sports, so they played soccer. The kind of the game that the people brought to the country, and we all learned to play it.
Right. So there you are. You're there now. You're out of coaching, and you're in the mix. You looking at your the profession that you dearly love, psychiatry. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. And you have to get down and get with it. And just by a simple Google, Dr. Chuck Zorumski, holy cow, baby! You got the whale certified seal of approval there. I mean, yeah, and it's just I can't say enough of when you took it. Did you ever try to help people with the gifts of learning how to play together as a unit, and some technical, tactical ways of how to develop in your practice?
I think that's so important, Kevin, and I think that's why I kind of jokingly said the best training I had to become a department head was coaching and playing, and it really was, because it's how does a team function? That's essentially what a department and what practice is kind of like. It's how do you function as a team and get everybody to play as good as you can possibly get them to play. Some are just like some of the people we've been talking about are just amazingly talented, right? And they're going to do great things. But there are many other good players who can also do great things if they're encouraged and you meld them into the team. So I think the team concept, and that's kind of what I learned from Joe Clark when we were coaching together. Joe was just great at this, and so being able to figure out where players should be on the field and how to get the max out of them. And that's the same thing goes for many of the things that I've done subsequently, like running a lab or being involved in running a department and things like that. It's how does the team function at the highest level, because that becomes how you win. That's how you win national championships, is with great players, but sometimes just good players who become great.
Yeah, yeah. And it always seems it's not a coincidence that when you're really good and you're almost great, you help out people next to you to be even greater or as great as they can be. It's really something.
No, I think that's really correct, Kevin. And one of the things that when I was coaching at SLU with Joe is that he recruited some really good goalkeepers, and those were my guys, right? And so it was, and man, like Steve Fuge, Kevin Johnson, Eddie Lahamadou. I mean, just terrific. Casey Clipple, just really great folks to be around, and players that your job was to help them be as good as they possibly could be, because they were already good, but taking the step to be even better that's what a coach should be doing.
Nice. So there you go. When you, after this podcast gets up, I think when you walk around, you have a pen with you, because you're going to do a lot of autographs.
That's great. I don't know, man. There's a whole gang of folks that don't have any idea that I ever did the soccer stuff that you've described. So I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, baby. But you are such a well. I hope you be wonderful to be a pride of the Wales certified, as you are the pride of the Polish, pride of the Billigans, pride of the Wildcats, and everywhere you went and go. That you know, it. I don't want to embarrass you. This is not on video, so we don't. Is that, man? You had it all. You still got it, but you had it all. I mean, you were the guy to be the guy. You know, it was really something. I've never heard of a bad word or a half bad word about you. It was about your play and about your character. Just sterling, just sterling.
Well, that's I really appreciate that, Kevin, and the folks that I was around for a lot of that, I'm a native, as you know, I'm a native St. Louis, and we just talked. I'm born and raised here in St. Louis, and spent almost my entire life here. And people say, well, if you're going to do this, that, or the other thing, you got to leave. You got to get out of St. Louis. Well, here I go to SLU. I end up with a Brazilian national team goalkeeper as almost a personal mentor, with Miguel de Lima. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
No.
And then I end up, SLU wins a couple of national championships. I mean, that's almost unheard of. And then I get to come to WashU, which is a world class medical center and research center, and this is all in the backyard, man. And this is all 15 minutes from where I grew up.
That's right. That's right, baby. Yeah.
So those who say you got to get out of St. Louis, I'm not so sure, man. I think I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out.
Absolutely, but you don't know what you don't know. Now you know. Is that here you have it, all in that little area. Like you say, 15-mile radius is, my gosh, and you don't know until later other people in the other parishes and everything are doing the same thing. And if you're not doing it, they're beating you to do it. So it's not that you're the best in the parish. You have to be the best in the world, as you have done nationally and internationally with your career. Hats off to you, Dr. Chuck.
Wow, thanks, Kevin. That's really appreciated. Yeah.
Okay, it's custom here at Wales Certified, and thank you for your time. I mean, unbelievable. Maybe I'll see you walk in the neighborhood one day or so.
Absolutely, right around the usual running path almost. So, yeah.
But here you are. Is that we have a Wales Certified to say, Dr. Chuck, whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to, for as long as you want to say it for. This is your opportunity, Doctor.
Well, Kevin, thanks. I just think I was blessed and lucky to be around the people I was around. And like I said, I describe some of that and just how I ended up in all the different places. But there were so many players, so many coaches. I mean, who took an interest in me and did a lot. And some of the teams I played on weren't the teams that were the premier team. Like one of the biggest experiences of my life was playing for Stag Beer when I was 19 years old for Sal Noto at Stag Beer. Eddie Clear was on that team. Lenny Betcher was on that team. It was unbelievable. It actually changed my life. And it's being around folks like that. Then I go to SLU and all those folks who became lifelong friends. I mean, and not only that, but they were just great players. So just kind of an amazing sets of experiences. And I think, just try to hang in there with the people that help you get to where you are. And man, I had a lot of them over my life, that's for sure. And like way too many to count, including my wife, Teresa, who's probably kept me going through most of all of it, including the dumb things I tried to do.
Wonderful Mrs. The wonderful Mrs. Is she of Polish descent also?
No, she's an Adams, but she grew up near Fairgrounds Park. So
nice.
She was in the neighborhood, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, man, I don't know if I'm stepping over the bounds or nothing, but I think you gave me a good half hour or more of psychological training to help me in my seniors.
That's great, Kevin. That's great. And are you coaching? Still coaching these days?
No, I'm a tutor for anybody who wants to learn the art and science of goalkeeping. They're
That's what I thought. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
nowadays they're called goal players from Franz Hook.
Ah,
Yeah, you're the 11th person.
yes, that's right. That's right. The evolution of the game, and
Yeah.
yeah, and God, and we still produce great players. So Patrick Schulte's in the MLS. I mean,
Oh,
what a matter of pride for St. Louis, for my opinion. Joe Willis is in the MLS.
yeah, exactly. So many guys we haven't heard, and that's one of the benefits of Wales Certified, is that to make people known, and I can hear it already. I'm telling the future here is people going to say, I didn't know that about Chuck. I didn't, I knew the name, but people are just, they want to know about the days. And we lived in the days, man. We still live in the days, don't we?
I, Kevin, that is absolutely correct, and that's when you talk about the north side and stuff. So many of those players. I mean, I ended up at one of the last teams I played on was a Ramsdale team for out of North County, and I was just talking to John Newsham yesterday by email about it. And he said, the Ramsdale team was out of North County, and he says all but two players on that team had played pro at some point. And he says
Yes.
that's just how many players were around here, of tremendous skill and tremendous ability.
Yeah. I played underneath, you know, I played for the Bombers with Johnny Zinson and those gangs. And those,
The PH bombers, right?
yeah.
Perpetual health. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So there it was, always trying to beat the Ramdales, always a step up behind. So here you go. That was one of the best ever. I've had like 325 episodes, and
Wow.
yeah, and this has been the one I've been really searching for, clawing, and I got Frank Chininsky's, I hope it's his wife or his sister-in-law or something. I'm trying to get him, but that you mentioned David Jokers.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you knew how to get a hold of that guy, please tell him Will
God,
said
I
it.
haven't seen Dave in years, but
Yeah.
he played for the Stars for multiple years.
Oh yeah.
Starting, and then he was helping with Peter Bonetti and everything like that.
Yeah.
No, what another great player from St. Louis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and no anybody knows him.
yeah, and he was a pro, was a high level pro.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so all that goes, and it's just been a thrill of a lifetime. And I, well, we're neighbors now, you and I, Chuck.
that's right. It's still in the city. So yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right then. So I want to thank you again and say hello to the missus, and so that we know that everybody knows the Zorumskis are Wales certified. You and the missus are in the Wales Certified Hall of Fame.
All right, man. And I'll look for you in the neighborhood, Kevin.
Uh,
Sounds good.
all right then. The best to
Take
you.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.